You're now listening to the official B Podcast, Business Elite Entrepreneurs. Business Elite Entrepreneurs, where you'll be getting proven tips and strategies from professionals on business, motivation, and mindset. Everything you'll need to get started right now. And now your host, serial entrepreneur, real estate investor, Will Galloway.
Clap it up, clap it up. All right. I need that energy. That's what I'm talking about. We live. We on episode 4. I done recorded 3 episodes, and we here live at my official launch. Episode 4. We are actually live, and I'm excited about it. I see some amazing people here, people that I have relationships with, friends, family. So I'm just definitely grateful to be here, and it means a lot to me that you guys took it upon yourself to come out on this Saturday to see me record episode 4. So here we are, episode 4. We actually going to be talking about the 10 steps of wholesaling houses. So I'm finna go through 10 steps of what you need to do. So if you haven't actually closed your first deal, or some of you, I'm sure, have closed some deals before, I'm going to go into my actual 10 steps to actually close your first deal or many more to come. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. Business Elite Entrepreneurs, you guys are here, and we're actually getting started right now. So let's jump straight into it. Step one. The first step when it comes to wholesaling houses, I think the first thing you need to consider is you need to make a decision. Make a decision. And what I mean by that is you got to understand that whatever it is you want to do, you got to make a decision, and you got to be willing to commit. You know, it's critical to be at peace with that decision. You know, whatever that decision is, even if it's not real estate, whatever it is, no matter what you do, you got to be committed and you got to be all in. So I say the first and foremost thing you need to do is be committed. And then once you committed, take action toward whatever that dream is or whatever that goal is. So let's just say it's wholesaling. If you want to wholesale, make a commitment. Because if you don't make a commitment, you're going to procrastinate. You're not going to do anything. It's just going to be an idea, but nothing's going to happen. So first and foremost, I would say commit and make a decision. So that's the first step, guys. Are we okay with the first step? All right, let's go. So step 2 is actually something that me and my partner, Tim, created with our meetup, Wholesales of Us. One of the first things we do when we take, some of our partners and some of our students in is the first thing we do is we tell them to create a timesheet. Creating a timesheet is very, very critical. And the reason why creating a timesheet is critical because it'll allow you to actually analyze your whole day. And some of you will be surprised at what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, from hour to hour, from minute to minute. I'm talking about from the time you wake up all the way until you go to sleep. If you get like a spreadsheet of your time and you analyze, like when you wake up, what am I doing to wake up? Eating breakfast, taking the kids to school, going to work, whatever that is. You write all that stuff down. We actually have an actual spreadsheet that we actually give our partners. But if you actually go through that timesheet and you look at some of your time, you'll understand that a lot of your time is being wasted. You know what I'm saying? Think about how much time you guys are just wasting time on social media, looking at stuff that's not related to your business, not related to your growth. Think about, how many people you're talking to from day in and day out and nothing's getting done. Think about how much time you're spending in high performance activities that you need to be performing towards your business. So I always tell people your time is everything, because one thing, you can buy a lot of things, but you can't buy your time back. Once the day is flipped over, then it's over with. You can't get that back. So I think that every minute, every hour is critical. We always say that once you analyze your time, then you can start focusing on at least spending maybe 3 to 4 hours a day toward your wholesaling business. So it's critical that you don't, miss days with spending time and putting energy into the business, because every day, every hour counts. So I would just say first and foremost, create a timesheet, analyze all the things that you're currently doing. And the reason why you need to look at it once you write it down is because you want to force yourself to remove all the things that don't need to be there. Remove that extra baggage that you're wasting, watching TV. If you haven't closed the deal yet, you really don't even have the luxury to watch TV. That's just my opinion. Why would you be watching sports, watching somebody else making money, and you haven't made none yourself? You haven't started your business yourself. So they're already paid to make money, watching LeBron and all the other players. Don't get me wrong, I'm a sports fan, but I'm not finna be watching sports if my business is not off the ground. Does that make sense? So we got to make sure that we analyze our time and look at it, write it down. Don't look at it in your head, write it down, look at it, remove what don't need to be there, and then add, your schedule. Add your schedule toward what we're going to be talking about next. So make sure you get your timesheet. Next, step 3 is decide on your marketing channel. So this is very critical. There's so many different ways that you can actually market towards sellers and buyers, but I'm gonna just throw out a couple of them. I know some of you may be familiar with. In our business, we do direct mail, we do cold calling, we do SMS text messaging, Facebook ads, Google ads. Driving for dollars is one of them. So all of them work. I wouldn't put one in front of the other. But I'll always say, pick which one fits your personality, but most importantly, which one fits your budget, because all of them, the marketing budget is going to differ from, variation from either one. So I would say, look at which one fits your personality and your actual budget. But they all work. I wouldn't say one is more than the other. And I always say, whichever one you choose, make sure you crush it and become an expert at that one thing, because you don't want to be all over the place saying, I'm going to do this, I'm cold calling, I'm, texting, I'm voice blasting, I'm putting ads out, I got a website. All this stuff, they all work, but then you end up being all over the place, especially when you're just getting started. So I always say, become an expert, crush that one marketing channel, be an expert in that one marketing channel, and then let everything else kind of scale from there. So that's just my opinion. So step 3, we said that decide your marketing channel. All right, so step 4, we're assuming that, after step 3, we're assuming that you guys have already started taking some action and you guys have already committed to whatever that particular marketing channel is. And, now you're starting to generate some seller leads. You're starting to generate some buyer leads. So the next thing is you need to start having some conversations. It's time to start talking to some people. It's time to start negotiating. So I would just say now that marketing is going out, or you're either making calls or you put out some marketing to where now people are starting to call you, sellers and buyers. Now it's time to start having conversations. So this is where a lot of people get a little fear in. They ready to go ahead and get started, but they don't want to make calls. They don't want to talk to people. So I would just say this part is critical, and you must understand that you're not only in the real estate business, you guys are in the people and the sales business. Let me say that again. We're not only in the real estate business, but we're in the people and we're in the sales business. So while you're talking to sellers, you want to make sure that you're pre-qualifying them and you're taking them to an actual sales process. You're taking them through a sales process, and through that sales process, you're actually building rapport and you're trying to get to know that seller to see if they're even motivated to want to sell, because you're going to go through tons of leads and probably 80% of them are going to say no. But you want to pre-qualify them. You want to take them through a sales process so you can see what's next and see if they even motivated to even want to sell. So you just, want to focus on building rapport, having a lot of fruitful conversations, and then, we're going to go on to the next step. Now, the next step after you actually going to start having conversations, and we're on step 5. Step 5 is now evaluation and running your numbers. Now, this is super critical. Once you start having these conversations, and now you got to know your numbers. You got to know what actually an offer looks like. You got to know what your numbers is, because this is always good, because one of the most important components is buying at the right price. So what you can actually sell it at a higher price and make a profit. So it's important to know your numbers. I know in our industry, it's a lot of wholesalers, they have a lot of, overpriced deals, because a lot of them, don't know how to actually evaluate a property from the front end. And they get into too high to where now they have to sell it higher than what they can. What they should be selling it for. But a lot of it is because they didn't do their due diligence. Maybe they didn't run the comps the correct way, and they didn't analyze their numbers to a point where, they can make the correct offer to the seller. So you got to be able to buy right. And if you buy right, even if you can't sell it to another cash buyer, you buying it right to where maybe you can take it down yourself and keep it in your portfolio, or maybe take it down and wholesale it maybe later, but you got to buy it right first. So I say evaluation and running your numbers is critical. And that's in step 5, guys. So now let's go to step 6. So let's assume that, we're going to start having conversations. We've evaluated these properties. We ran comps. We kind of already know where we kind of want to be at on price. So this is one of the most crucial steps in your wholesaling business. And this is making the right offer, guys, making the right offer. You can't have a business without actually making offers. It's just so important that while you're talking to these sellers, you got to be making offers. It's not enough just to have a conversation. You got to take it a step further, and you got to actually make an offer. So a lot of seasoned investors, even, they're having these conversations, but they're not even scaling like how many offers they're making per day. So you got to get yourself to the point where you can make at least 3 to 5 offers a day minimum. That's just my opinion. You get to the point where you can at least start making 3 to 5 offers per day, having genuine conversations with homeowners. You always want to be shooting your shot. In sports, you can't make a basket unless you're shooting your shot. So always be shooting your shot, and we call shooting your shot in making multiple offers per day. So every time you're having conversations, make it a goal of yours to at least make 3 to 5 offers per day. Just make that a goal of yours. So we're still, now we're in step 6, and that was make the right offer. So now, guys, we're going to actually go into step 7. So let's assume that we have already started having conversations. Let's assume that we already know our numbers, and let's assume that we have already started making offers. So again, a lot of times when you're making offers, we already understand that a lot of these offers probably not going to get accepted, because most of these sellers, even in most of the competitive markets that we're in, most of these sellers are not going to actually accept our low wholesale price. They're going to probably want something closer to retail. But that's okay. We just got to keep shooting our shot. We got to just keep making offers. So now step 7, let's just say somebody has accepted one of our offers, and we're in the game now. Somebody done raised their hand and said, okay, I accept your offer. Now it's time to actually put it under contract. So when we say put it under contract, we're going directly to seller. So that's actually an A to B purchase agreement. So you want to make sure you're getting an A to B purchase agreement, and you want to make sure you're actually being able to be direct with that seller, and you actually want to get it under contract. So a lot of us are putting deals under contract. We're either doing it virtually, or we're actually setting appointments and we're actually meeting that seller in person. So either way is fine. I mean, if you're doing it virtually, essentially you're probably going to set up some type of e-signature, DocuSign, Right Signature, one of those platforms where you can actually start sending those contracts actually over the phone, or you just go do a live appointment, which is also great as well. So now we just on step 7 where we want to actually put that deal under contract. And in the midst of that, let me just say this also, while you're actually putting deals under contract, you want to already start looking at title companies that you're going to actually be partnering with to do this deal with, because when you start putting these properties under contract, you're going to have to facilitate that transaction somewhere. So you're going to have to already start talking to some of your attorneys. And if you don't have an attorney, then you can reach out to another local wholesaler or probably some Facebook group. Maybe you can get some recommendations, but you want to already start having some conversations with these attorneys. So now that seller has already committed, then you're going to start, of course, going to the next step. Next, you want to already have an attorney that you're going to be actually working with. So now we're on step 8, guys, and we're getting through this pretty fast. But step 8 of the 10 steps of wholesaling houses, now it's time. Now we're going to recap. We're going to, we're going to assume that we've already talked to sellers. We've already started making some offers, and we've already gotten the offer accepted. So now, it's time to go ahead and schedule this thing. It's time to go ahead and go to step 8, which is locate your cash buyer or your co-wholesaler. So now that you're locating your cash buyer, you're looking to locate a cash buyer, and you're going to locate those cash buyers basically doing those same marketing channels that you actually attracted that seller with. Some of those same marketing channels, that I mentioned earlier, they work the same, finding buyers, and that's now that you're going to try to locate a buyer through one of those marketing channels. You're going to actually try to get them to sign a B2C agreement, which is a whole nother purchase agreement. And we call that the B2C, and that's the B2C transaction. And you can also do an assignment depending on, if you want to structure a double closing or if you want to actually do an assignment of contract. So that's what you want to do. And once you find your buyer, one of the most important steps once you get that contract signed is you want to get some non-refundable earnest money so they can have some skin in the game. So in your contract, just make sure you put non-refundable earnest money. And now that you have a contract with your seller, which is your A to B, and then you have an actual B2C contract with your buyer, that attorney that I mentioned earlier, you want to have them facilitate that, and they want to start running titles. So now we have an A to B side and we have a B2C side. And now you want to go ahead and get that a title company or attorney to go ahead and start the title process, so we can see if there's any liens, adjustments, or anything like that. So now it's time to go ahead and start the title process. Now, I also mentioned a co-wholesale. Now, let's say that you can't find a buyer. One of the things that we actually do really, really well is we actually are partner with another wholesaler, and we call that co-wholesaling. So if you can't find a cash buyer, another thing that you can actually do is you can actually partner with another wholesaler. And of course you want to vet that wholesaler to make sure that, you know, they're doing ethical business. You want to make sure that they've been in the business and they're knowledgeable about what they're doing, and they pretty much have a pretty good buyers list to where they can kind of carry you into bringing a buyer to the table. And typically you guys can work out a percentage. Maybe you guys will do a split 50-50, split, or sometimes, you know, you can maybe pay them either a fee, you know, but all of that is negotiable. It's nothing set in stone. But make sure if you can't find that cash buyer that you're actually going to be locating an actual co-wholesaler, another wholesaler that you guys can essentially partner with. And I think that'll be a plan B, just in case you don't find your own cash buyer. So now that we've found a buyer, we're in step 9 now. Now that we've found a buyer and we've gotten our seller, we got the actual title process started. Now it's time to actually schedule closing. And this is, we call this the TC process. This is the transaction coordinator. Typically, our transaction coordinator in our company normally handles all of this. And essentially what they do, and if you're a solopreneur and you're by yourself, you'll essentially be doing these steps. And just like I mentioned earlier, you're going to get all of the necessary documents over to the attorney, you know. So you want to make sure that the attorney has, again, the A to B contract. You want to make sure they have the B to C contract. You want to make sure that there's seller information forms that may need to be signed from your homeowner. And there's also maybe buyer information docs that may need to be signed as well. So you just want to keep in communication with your attorney, and you want to make sure that they have all the necessary documents. Make sure that they've started the title process, because when they start the title process, they're going to be looking for any payoffs, any liens, any judgments. So they can go ahead and coordinate all that with the seller up front. Sometimes the seller might have a mortgage, and if they have a mortgage, then you want to make sure that they get a payoff so they can get everything cleared up for your closing. So we're in step 9 of the 10 steps of wholesaling houses, and we can all say that step 10, I think, is going to be the funnest part of all of it. And that is get your wholesale fee, which I think that's what we all get paid. I think that's the fun part. Well, now that we actually went through the whole process, we're going to assume that we got a clear title close. We're going to assume that pretty much everything's been scheduled, and we got the closing. Everything's pretty much good. And now we're time to get paid. It's time to get our wholesale fee. And that's so exciting. And, you know, getting your wholesale fee is just one of the most exciting things, especially if it's your first deal, getting your first check. So you definitely want to go ahead and get everything. You want to talk to your attorney and see if you want to get a live check or do you want to get a wire. And I think now that's time to get paid. That's the most fun part. So after you get your check, then you want to rinse and repeat. So guys, you have heard the 10 steps of actually wholesaling houses. So we just talked about the 10 steps of wholesaling houses, right? So what I wanted to do was I wanted to basically tell you guys that I mentioned earlier that I'm actually in the process of starting my mentorship, which that's going to be probably launching around the first of the year. But what I actually in the process of doing right now is I'm getting ready to drop my 10 Steps of Wholesaling Houses ebook, and it's actually going to launch on my birthday, which is December the 23rd. So guys, I'm super excited. Appreciate that. I'm super excited about my ebook. So the launch is actually going to be on my birthday, which is December the 23rd, a little bit over a month from now. And the ebook is called 10 Steps to Wholesaling Houses, and it's actually going to go on. It's going to be sold on my birthday for $47. But what I decided to do was go ahead and take some pre-orders, and now I'm going to be selling it now up until the time of my birthday for $20. So guys, everybody always asks me, what you want for your birthday? So you can purchase the ebook for over 50% off. So the wholesaling houses on a shoestring budget. So everything that I talked about in this episode, I'm gonna go super in detail in that book. I'm gonna give resources, I'm gonna give apps, I'm gonna give all the websites I use, because I kind of like breezed through it today. But in that ebook, I'm gonna actually give a lot more. I'm gonna talk about all the websites I'm currently using, all the apps I'm using. I'm gonna basically go way more in detail, because I kind of breeze through it in this episode just for the podcast. But if you go to happybirthdaywill.com, you'll actually be able to pre-order the book right now for $20. And that'll be a birthday gift from you to me. So if you go to happybirthdaywill.com, you can go to the website where you can actually get it for $20. All right, so I'll just leave that up, but it's happybirthdaywill.com, and that'll be a birthday present for me. All right. So thank y'all so much.
Thanks for listening to Business Elite Entrepreneurs Podcast. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, share and subscribe, or visit us on the web at www.businesseliteentrepreneurs.com. We'll see you on the next episode.